Hey guys, this is NTom, and welcome to the HellfireComms playthrough of Pokemon Omega Ruby. This is going to be the second playthrough we'll be doing in 2015, and I promise after this one I'll stop numbering them, otherwise that will get very pedantic very, very quickly. For this one, much like with Pokemon X, I have THD, the Hell Dragon, with me.
Hello everyone, and you know it's really weird because I just came to realize this, you said this the other day. The first playthrough we ever collaborated on was Pokemon Emerald, and now here we are in 2015 doing this game again, basically. It's kind of nuts how everything has come full circle.
Same with Galaxy, actually. That was the, well, I'm sure I'll have mentioned this in the Galaxy playthrough, but that was the first kind of 3D one I did solo. Like, the first 3D one we did was Kingdom Hearts 1, I believe, but that's another playthrough for another time. It's nice that we can finally sit down and confirm Hoenn properly, because I was going through so much anxiety and self-doubt as to whether the remake would actually come out, but it's nice to be able to sit down and talk over it obnoxiously now.
Someday we're gonna have to say Kalos is confirmed when they eventually remake those games again for, like, the Nintendo 60 through time or something.
The 64DS.
The 64DS, yes, that would be the perfect evolution.
Oh, so, I guess first things first, this is really cool, by the way. I love this little bit of nostalgia pandering, I guess, here, but, Generation 3, what were your, like, first memories with it?
I actually borrowed a copy of Pokemon, I believe it was Sapphire. I borrowed it from my friend, and I played it through extensively on my awesome Silver Platinum Game Boy Advance. I got to the second member of the Elite Four, and then I stopped. I don't even remember why. I think it was because she was a bit too hard for me at the time, and I was like, I'll do this later. And then I just kind of never got back into it, and I haven't really been in Pokemon since. So Ruby and Sapphire was kind of my last major Pokemon outing, not counting the commentaries, of course.
Of course. I think for me, same as with Generation 2, I had a Japanese copy of Ruby, because I always tend to go for, like, the first colour, stone, etc., of each generation. Silver was kind of like the exception to the rule. It was like red, silver, ruby, diamond, black, etc. But I had a good time. I enjoy Generation 2 more, and as we go through this game, we'll point out the flaws and whatnot. Like here, for example, I don't know what's going on in Hoenn with laws and the like, but this should really fall under child endangerment, just letting your kid ride in the back of a moving van with no seatbelt and the like.
Now, what's interesting is that the redesign for Brendan here, I assume that's still his name, I've heard differently, and I don't care, so I'm going to continue. Instead of the white hair he had originally, he has brown hair, but he's got, like, this white cap that kind of looks like hair. Like, it throws me off all the time. I keep having to remember that his hair is now brown. It pisses me off sometimes.
Well, I don't mean to blow your mind right off the bat, but that was always a hat.
What, really?
Yes, it was.
What the fu- I'm gonna assume it was like primitive Game Boy Advance, and I can't believe I have to say primitive Game Boy Advance graphics.
Mm-hmm.
But I always thought it was white hair. God, you're just blowing my mind, aren't you? I certainly hope he had a seatbelt back there. I don't know why he didn't ride with his mom or something. Just throw the kid in the back, let me get some peace for a few hours while we move. You know what I'm saying?
What's even more fucked up is the mother's already here. She's supervising the move. They let the kid ride on his own with the movers, who are Mochokes, as we'll find.
Yeah, unless that shit is tied down, all that crap should have fallen on him by now.
This is a very unique opening for a Pokemon game, because mostly you already have like an established home, but here you're moving to Little Root.
Yeah, I always thought that was a really neat change of pace as well. It really set the game apart from all the others immediately. Damn, he's here at last. Shit, I thought I had gotten rid of him.
Very different design in the anime is the protagonist's mom, or I guess that would be May and Max's mom.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what they looked like in the anime. It's been a long time since I watched Pokemon Advanced Battle or whatever when I was a teenager. God.
Seriously hope those Mochoke are being paid, but this is Pokemon we're talking about. The game involving cockfighting and the like.
Well, at least they're doing some other kind of work as opposed to just, you know, fighting each other. I mean, they're moving stuff. Okay, that makes sense.
You've got to repress the urge to punch boxes instead of just moving them.
Now, we sort of accidentally broke something in transit that may cost you a little bit extra. Sorry, the Machoke aren't as trained as well as I'd like.
Well, you know, that moving company has a good compensation scheme. That'll be fun.
I like how his dad bought a new clock to celebrate the big move. It's not like a party, it's not a new present, it's a new clock. Wowzers.
Well, they can afford Wii U's, obviously, so I don't think a clock is too much of an expensive gift.
See, no wonder you have to set the time. If you saw it back there, the clock had no hands on it.
Just like with the fact there's a Wii U here, in what is essentially a Generation 3 remake, the fact you don't have to manually wind the clock threw me off so much, because obviously it's taking this from the 3DS's internal clock.
Oh yeah, I'm fixing to say, like, I thought that kind of clock would be a sort of, you know, the traditional wall clock, but it's got a digital output because apparently we can't read hands anymore.
Apparently you look into it and you see through time, because I'm not seeing no hands on that clock.
See, now the Wii U is actually worth something, because he's probably got Smash already loaded into that.
Yeah, don't update it by the way, it'll brick your console.
As of this recording, we don't know yet. They'll probably fix that really soon.
Hello from the world of tomorrow.
Now I'm gonna go over next door and invite all the fine honeys over. Just kind of get this party kicked off right.
You want to see my Snorlax doll? It is the hyper shit. Oh, I hate when I walk in on the end of a program and have to catch the repeat.
I noticed they got the Azurill doll on top of the shelf back there. Why would you put that there?
Isn't that mine?
I would think it'd be yours, unless your mom's collecting this stuff on the side.
How do we feel about Professor Birch? We'll see him shortly, but pre-thoughts, I guess.
Everybody's gonna call him JonTron now?
He looks exactly like JonTron in this.
Yeah, it's really close. Like, back in the day, I was just like, oh, well, but now everybody's like, oh my god, JonTron's in the game.
And, like, the backpackers look like Egoraptor, and it's really throwing me off.
God, how many other YouTube celebrities are gonna smash into this? Probably too many.
I was really surprised when I got to the Pokemon League and the champion was PewDiePie, personally.
So I know you just moved in, but go ahead and walk in on my daughter while she's dressing upstairs. Makes sense. See, look, she's finished! If we had came in like a few seconds earlier, this would have gotten really awkward.
Radically different redesign for me. Her do-rag is kind of just like a bow now.
Yeah, I noticed they take a lot of the design cues from the Emerald redesigns, where they focus more on green colors as opposed to red and blue.
Rival theme is the same as ever.
I do gotta say, I really like how expressive the models are in this game. Like, May here, she just cycles through them so often, you know, and makes her feel a lot more lifelike.
Great personality as well. It's like, Gary in the first game, very antagonistic. Silver as well. May, she's kind of like stalker with a crush, and if you've ever read any of the Nuzlocke comics, that will resonate with you quite a bit.
I never really got the whole stalker with a crush vibe. I mean, yeah, it's definitely a change of pace. Like, this was the game that really started the whole, okay, your rival's more of a friend than anything. And, you know, that's okay. I'm not saying that's bad. But at the same time, you know, it kind of loses a lot of its impact. But I never would really call May a stalker, per se.
You know, I didn't know what to think about the rival redesigns, because, like, at the time they were shown, they had different names. Like, I think May was called Anna, and I was like, is this a completely different character? What's going on?
Why'd they call her Anna? That just makes no sense.
I don't know, but here they call her May, so let's leave it at that.
Run, JonTron! Run for your life!
Ack! Ack! Get it away from me!
Hello! Yeah, that's pretty pathetic when you're getting pushed around by a Poochyena, man. Come on.
Right, here are the Hoenn starters. On the left we have the Grass-type Trico. In the middle we have the Fire-type Torchic. We're going with that one, by the way, just letting you know. And on the right we have the Water-type Mudkip.
Well, thanks for spoiling it, I guess.
We're HellfireComms, not Heaven Water Comms, alright?
Alright, sure. We are not that completely alternate version of ourselves.
I'm not going to walk you step by step through, like, Pokemon battles. You all should know how this works by now. You click on fight, you pick an attack, you do damage until the other Pokemon fades. Boom, it's good stuff.
But just like in X and Y, they actually give you an elemental attack to start off with, which is really helpful.
I got 2 copies. I got a copy of Omega Ruby, you know, to record, and I also got Alpha Sapphire to play casually. And for some reason, I was surprised when Mudkip, because I thought, you know, different version, may as well go with a different type of starter, had an elemental attack. It kind of blew my mind.
So he got like water gun, right? Not like mud shot or whatever.
No, he gets mudshot later on. He doesn't even get like another water attack until like late 30s.
What, really? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Aaron! Help!
Yeah, let's just run all these jokes into the ground before we reach part 2.
We might as well, right? Because if I'm not gonna do it, then somebody else is gonna do it, and people probably have already been doing it. You can play some killer World of Warcraft in here, though. Look at all this tech. I love it.
So Professor Oak, like, we're just talking about Professor specialties here. Professor Oak, he studied the Pokédex. He was developing that good shit. Elm, I think, studied eggs and the like, and Birch here is concerned with field work, you know, Pokemon in their natural environment.
Yeah, each one tends to introduce sort of a new element here and there, like with the eggs for Elm, because that was new when those games came out. So what are you going to name your Torchic?
You know damn well what I'm going to name Torchic. Don't pretend.
Well, I might as well go along with it, but we all know that the best name has been chosen here.
Yes, yes, Magician's Red won't forgive you.
Yes, I am! There we go. Now we got that out of the way.
And by the time this airs, Stardust Crusaders will probably be airing again the second half.
Oh, that'd be good. You know, I'm really looking forward to that. Oh yeah, the new features for this is that they give you, like, the bottom screen is like your nav. They give you, like, basically it's a sort of super fat phone thing with a lot of apps on it, and they give you these really useful stuff, actually, besides the map. And, you know, the typical Pokemonomy, those come up again later, but they actually add some new features that we'll talk about when we get to it. They actually make finding Pokemon really useful.
This bird's eye view is a little bit odd because it'll do it in some towns, won't do it in others, and it'll like focus on like points of interest. Like obviously the biggest thing about Little Root is the Pokemon Lab.
Just send him out in the wild, not even going to go and check with our mom. Hey mom, I'm going to go on a dangerous journey. Alright, just be home by dinner if you make it.
We're not starting on our journey yet, we're just going to go see how May's doing.
Wurmple, I remember you. I'm starting to get a lot of shades of when I was originally playing this. Like, just at the time, it was astonishing to get Pokemon, you know, on Game Boy Advance, all these new additions. And nowadays, you know, they just keep adding this new stuff, and you look back on the old ones, you're like, I used to think that was amazing. It's kind of a weird disconnect.
I have to say, maybe this is me just being naive as per usual, but the sense of excitement when a new Pokemon generation is, like, you know, on its way has not ebbed for me at all. I still feel it like I did with Gen 2, Gen 3, and so on.
You know, I actually want to take a moment, since you mentioned Pokemon generations. I do feel that a lot of the Pokemon in this generation, when I was playing it originally, I felt that a lot of the Pokemon didn't exactly hold up for me. Like, with Gold and Silver, I found, like, all these great, amazing new Pokemon. Wow, these are all amazing, I want these. But when I got to Ruby and Sapphire, you know, it was apparent that they felt like they were running out of ideas. And in Diamond and Pearl, we all know that was really, that feeling amplified. Fortunately, since that game, they've kind of gone uphill. But Ruby and Sapphire is where they start to felt like, you know, they were running out of steam.
I don't necessarily agree, but I'll respect your opinion, if just so we can get to the next point that I need to make. You'll notice that the Pokemon is, once again, its own thing. The reason for this is that boutiques don't exist anymore. I believe the director of the series said something along the lines of, in not France, which is to say Kalos, they're all about fashion, but outside there, not so much, which kind of strikes me as a very weak excuse for not including customization.
Another reason would be is that if they combine it together, they'd have to shrink or redo the maps when they're remaking, you know, this game. So from that standpoint, I can understand still having them separate buildings because they were still separate at the time. The fact you can't really customize your character, though, I think that's lame. Like, you can't do that, because that was such a cool part of X and Y. You'd be able to buy super expensive pants and lord your pants over everyone else. And you could just make them look like whoever you want. And I think online, you can actually pick, like, different trainer images to represent you, but it's just not the same, in my opinion.
Well, you say they'd have to, like, shrink or expand the maps, but they could just resize the boutique and it would take the place of the Pokemon.
That's true, they could do that. I don't know. At this point, you know, I think they just kind of wanted to avoid as much work as possible in remaking these games, and I can kind of see where they were going with that. But I really think they should have kept the ability to customize.
I like how Old Dale is so run-of-the-mill that its point of interest is the sign pointing out points of interest.
North is that way. Man, I did not know that.
Just gonna get a little bit of a level grind again before we take on May. We'll be able to beat her Mudkip soundly anyway, but you know, doesn't hurt.
Yeah, we're just gonna burn the local wildlife. That's always a good thing to do. I mean, I just love that. Like, I want to be in the Pokemon world and just kind of walk out to the grass and just see, like, things on fire. Oh, my Torchic is setting everything on fire. I'm trying to catch Pokemon over here. You're destroying the fucking environment. Please be careful.
Well, you see Pokemon trainers around here, and they don't have Torchics, Tricos, or Mudkips, so some trainers in Little Root must get, like, Poochyenas or Wurmpools as their stars.
Yeah, I know. Like, I still feel bad for those kids. Like, we get all these cool, unique, rare Pokemon for our starters, but somebody gets the fucking dog they found out back. I got you a dog. Merry Christmas or Happy Birthday or whatever.
Yeah. Hoenn Hanukkah.
You know, some of these are probably pets, and then they decide, okay, you know, he wants to go on a Pokemon journey. Just let him take the dog. I don't care if he's old. He can still do stuff.
Okay, I think that will about do it. We are ready to take on our rival now.
Just jump her from behind. She'll never see it coming.
Yep, that's a puddle.
They kind of took that puddle a bit out of context. Like, why focus on that puddle and why build so much around it? It's just a puddle. Does it do anything special?
It's the puddle from the intro, that's why it's so important at the end.
Oh, that's true, you gotta reuse those assets.
Yeah. I have to say, I like the soundtrack of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Some tracks seem to have, like, been dialed back a bit in terms of, like, extremeness. They don't pop as much. The rival theme is one that goes in the opposite direction. It's so much more expressive now.
You gotta let the trumpets take over.
That was what I was so worried about, like, beforehand. I was like, oh my god, are they just gonna go with, like, typical synth stuff? But no, the trumpets are back and they are glorious.
Now, May does get the version of, you know, the starter that's got an element advantage over you, but for some reason, hers does not have the elemental attack. I don't know why. I guess just to make sure you don't get your ass kicked, like, super fast. But it's weird that your Torchic already knows Ember, but Mudkip doesn't know anything with water.
I guess Birch just wants us to teach his daughter a lesson, like, you want to go out into the wide open world and be a big girl? There you go, but remember, there will be stronger trainers out there.
Spank her. Show her how life really works.
Okay, I'm probably going to edit that in post, thank you, Eldragon.
Sorry. There's two Pokemon butting heads. Like, this is how it always begins with trainers. You can't do the cool stuff yet. You gotta have them smash heads against each other till they get brain damage, and then that's how they learn new techniques, I assume.
Anytime there's like a lull in battle, I always go back to that Generation 1 episode where it's like the trainer school, and they're playing Pokemon on the computer, and I'm like, that's so meta, it turns my head inside out.
It's been so long since I seen that episode, I did not remember that they did that. Maybe they have that net battling program on there that they have these days? May takes losing a lot better than Serena, too. I gotta admire that.
Oh, thank God. Definition of good is kind of being stretched, though.
Yeah, you don't even know water attack. We'll work on that.
Okay, guys, I think that is a suitable start for our Pokemon playthrough. We shall see you next time when we travel beyond Old Dale Town. See you then.